How to find and wholesale pre-foreclosures step by step. Guys, it's Rick Gann, and I'm gonna walk you through 5 simple steps to wholesale any pre-foreclosure deal. I'm gonna show you how to find and pull pre-foreclosures. I'm gonna show you the pros and cons of them. I'm gonna show you the sweet spot to get the best deal in pre-foreclosures. I'm gonna teach you how to market to them, and most importantly, show you how the conversation goes with a pre-foreclosure. So if you wanna sign up for that, do me a favor, make sure you're linked to the Rick Gann channel so you get the best information possible and learn how to do wholesaling. Just hit that little subscribe button. And if you get value from this video, do me a favor, just click that like button and share it with a friend. So you want to do pre-foreclosures, and pre-foreclosures is simply the process before a property is foreclosed on. That is when the final auction is. So full disclosure, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not here to give you legal advice, but I can explain the simplicity of pre-foreclosures and how it works. Now, it depends on what type of state you're in. So there is what they call a non-judicial state and a judicial state. Judicial just means you have to go through a formal court proceeding to finalize a foreclosure. Non-judicial means they can do it outside the legal court system. Bottom line is, let me tell you the difference. Find out what type of state you're in. If you're in a non-judicial state, it goes much quicker. And basically, I want you to understand it, is the deed to the property, which they call a deed of trust, is held by a third party or the bank itself. Now, I don't want to get deep down this rabbit hole, but basically, they hold the title and they can just apply one public document and move forward with the proceeding. On average, the time frame is around 6 months. Go to a judicial state like Florida that I'm in, and they have to enter into a formal lawsuit, and that can take anywhere from 12 to 18 months. Bottom line is, you're non-judicial, you've got to work much quicker when it comes to the pre-foreclosure leads you get. Now let's talk about the process before I show you how to pull them. The process of probates, there's 2 key documents before it's filed for a foreclosure date in an auction. So number 1 is a notice of default. This is recorded against the borrower. And the idea of this is done definitely in a non-judicial state, and it basically says the borrower has broken the agreement and they've put it on public record. This is a requirement according to the docs the mortgagee and the borrower signed. It says, hey, if you don't cure this, we are going to move forward and take actions to take that property away from you. In a judicial state, they can do a notice of default and what they call a lis pendens. Lis pendens is step number 2, which the notice of default is basically a threat. The lis pendens is a lawsuit. It is the announcement of a formal lawsuit against the borrower to recoup the property, to basically get back the funds that they've defaulted on. And depending on which state you're in, what you want to look for is when you go to pull these lists, you want to look for a notice of default, also called an NOD, or a lis pendens. So now that you understand the terminology, that's what you're looking for when you go to the court systems. Now I'm going to give you 2 ways to pull pre-foreclosures. It's very simple. Number 1, you can actually go in your county court system and you can pull the notice of defaults or the lis pendens. Don't ask for the pre-foreclosure list because it doesn't exist. That is the terminology we use in wholesaling. Now, the good news is these lists are very public because it is a public lawsuit. You can typically get most of them online, or you can definitely get them at your county courthouse. Ask for the notice of default or the lis pendens. Remember, the freshest ones you get are going to be your best opportunity. That is the manual way to do it, and that works well. What I want to do now is show you how to go in the XLeads and simply click a few buttons and get all the pre-foreclosure leads you'll ever need. Let me show you. So I'm inside the XLeads account, as you see here, and I just go under lead pipes, and I'm gonna click down under property leads. Okay, so we're inside our XLeads account, and you can simply pick where you want to do it. So I'll randomly search, let's just do Albuquerque, New Mexico. And so what I want to do is, if you see this column over here on the left-hand side, you want to drop it down, and you're going to have your preset filters we've built inside of XLeads for you. So the first thing, I want to go down and I want to click the pre-foreclosures. And then what I want you to do is, once you have the pre-foreclosures, it's searching, you're going to click the exclude button, and I want you to exclude active listings and active investor owned. So XLeads is now searching the database. Remember, you can go to the courthouse or you can use a simple XLeads account starting as low as $49 a month. If you do the prepaid 1-year plan, so you, the affiliate, gets the savings, the 50%, and you'll see you'll have 70 results. So you click on those results, and right here you'll see you have them. Now, if you see, it'll give you all the information, all the tags you want it. What I want you to do is go ahead and sort these by last notice date. And you see on the first one's 2010. So what I'm going to do is switch from descending to ascending order. And so I'm going to get the freshest lead. So you see on this one, it was filed July 26, 2024, and then it'll go on so down. Now remember, XLeads can only pick it up once they record it in public records. To get the freshest leads, you can get them online or in person. That is always going to be the best way. But if you're trying to do speed and convenience and you're doing virtual wholesaling all over the country, XLeads is an absolute no-brainer. Everything's in here. You can click on there. It's going to tell you everything you want to know about the property. But what I am going to do to make sure that see all the information, it even gives you what the wholesale number needs to be. For privacy, I'm going to take it off there because I don't want YouTube to take it down. But guys, I've shown you how to manually pull your pre-foreclosure leads either online or going to your courthouse. I've also taught you how to pull them and do it systematically inside of XLeads. This is great if you're doing it virtual or you want to do multiple counties. It can't get any more convenient than XLeads. Let's dive into the pros and cons of doing pre-foreclosures because Rick Ginn likes to tell you the truth about all different types of wholesaling methods. And if you don't know what you're getting into, I don't want you to be surprised. I want you to be prepared. So let's go against the cons on pre-foreclosures. I'm going to tell you there is a lot of procrastination that goes on in pre-foreclosures. Procrastination is people who are confused, they're scared, and when people get backed in a corner, they typically pull back and do nothing. This is typical in the United States. Remember, they didn't choose to be in this situation. Our job is to help them out, but procrastination is going to run rampant. Number two, denial. This is not only a river that flows in another country, it is people's ability to deny that they're in trouble. And what do I mean by denial? Say, listen, I've gone 4 or 5 months. I don't have to make any payments on it. No one's taken the house from me. Everything's fine, which means there is a huge storm brewing. They're just ignoring it. So it's like the eye of a hurricane coming at you and you're just watching TV and not preparing for it. You're going to get a lot of these in pre-foreclosure. I'm going to teach you how to prep for it and how to find the right ones to work with. Honestly, a lot of pre-foreclosures have little to no equity, and you need to know that before you market to them. If a property is upside down, I don't think it's a good wholesale strategy. Now, can the property be short-sailed? Yes, but I'm telling you, in modern 2024, doing a short sale is not nearly as attractive as it used to be. The banks have manipulated and written the statutes and the paperwork to where it is almost nearly impossible to wholesale a short sale. You can do it, but it is not for the faint of heart. It takes a lot of energy. It takes people with very high skill sets. And for that reason, you really want to avoid upside down properties in pre-foreclosure. And the last thing is disclosure. I'm here to tell you when people are in distress, they are immediately categorized in a distressed owner and they have extra rights. It makes sense. Now, depending on what state you're in, I can't go through every one of them, but like in the state of Florida, the seller has 3 days to renege on their contract. You have to give them disclosures. I would look up your state foreclosure law for people in distress and make sure you give full disclosures to them and let them know you're here to help them out. Guys, the honest to God reason for it is you need to work with people all the way up to the closing. And if some reason they fall apart or they're not comfortable with you, they pull out, you have to let them out of the contract. You cannot force it. You cannot sue them. And you definitely can't file memorandum of affidavit on it. Remember, people in distress have rights almost all the way till the end. You have to honor them. The best way to do it is hear them out, stay in contact with them, and make sure you're working with people that actually want help. Because the last thing I want you to do is get in trouble with a distressed homeowner. Start with your state disclosures. It's easy to look them up online. And remember, you need their cooperation all the way to the end. So you can't just write a contract, set it, and forget it. You have to stay in contact with these people. Do not overlook this part. Now, the pros are simple. The motivation's through the roof. If they don't take action, they're going to lose their biggest asset. They'll probably lose a chunk of money. And honestly, they don't know where they need to live. So most people, just through their motivation, they want certainty and put it to bed. I like to work with those people because they have families. They want to make sure they're taken care of and they want to know where they're going, where their kids are going to go to school. So certainty to me is the number one priority of people I look for in pre-foreclosures. And those are the people with the highest motivation. And those are the ones that you want to work with. Number two, time is on your side if you catch them early in pre-foreclosure, which means you can give them their dignity. You give them time to relocate and find another place and they can move out on their own terms. And that is a huge advantage if they work with you as the wholesaler in helping them solve their problem. Last but not least, honestly, you can be the savior for these people. Some people have no other options. They've tried realtors. They've tried lawyers. This is where wholesalers were made for this business. And if you truly want to problem solve and help people out, Pre-Foreclosures is there. It's not the easiest. It's not for the faint of the heart. But if you truly want to be a savior and do what I tell you to do, help sellers get out of their own way, the idea is to give them dignity, hopefully walk away with some money, and let them move out on their own terms and save their credit. Nobody wants a foreclosure on their record. It's going to affect their credit for up to 10 years and severely limit their ability to buy or rent a future property. So let's talk about marketing to people in pre-foreclosure. This is actually simple. I'm not going to complicate this. I'm going to cut straight to the chase. The number one way to market to people in pre-foreclosure, if you're in your local market, and you have this option, is belly to belly. Rick, how do I do belly belly? The old Rick, when I started out, I door knocked pre-foreclosures. Guys, it was painful. It was difficult. A lot of people were pissed off at me, but I did what I had to do to learn wholesaling. And that was what I was taught, and I just stuck through it. Now, I want you to take that same mentality, and I want you to switch it over to what we call reverse driving for dollars. If you want to learn how to do this, go over to freewholesaling.com, and we teach you in detail. You're basically leaving a sticky note on the door, and you are going to tickle them with curiosity with your name and a phone number and a quick question about their house, and they call you back. This way, you only work with the ones that actually want to talk to you, and then you filter people throughout that. If I have a list of 70 pre-foreclosures like I just showed you in Albuquerque, New Mexico, I'm going to find a route, and I'm going to plug it in. I'm going to go put sticky notes on all those doors, and then when the phone call rings, answer it. Just say hello. Be a normal person. Help them out. Use your listening skills and listen to what their problem is. You already know what their issue is, but you want to get the story behind it. Now, that being said, I will tell you cold calling is still effective, extremely effective, easy to do. You can go inside of XLeads, you can pull the phone numbers, and you can call the sellers directly. And that is an extremely efficient manner. Keep in mind, it's going to take a lot of tenacity to get through them. And remember, the key to do cold calling with pre-foreclosures is volume. The more volume, the more opportunities. These people, honestly, a lot of them are in denial. A lot of them are avoiding phone calls. So you have to keep at it, and the connection rate is going to be one of your lowest. But that's why I want you to have the numbers on your side. Texting works, but keep in mind, texting is just an engagement tool. You cannot close a pre-foreclosure on a text. It's just not going to happen. You're going to have to use texting as a source to connect to your motivated tellers in pre-foreclosure and get them on the phone or get in front of them in person. The texting and the cold calling is really the way to do it if you're going to do this virtually. And those of you in your local market, just initiate reverse driving for dollars. So I want to show you a little graphic that we've created over here at Flip with Rick. It's called the sweet spot in pre-foreclosure. And I want to give you a visual on it and let you understand how this works. So when a notice of default is filed, it's usually the first document depending on which state you're in. And this is going to be done within 120 days. So once somebody gets behind on 1 month, on month 2 and 3, by the 90th day, the bank, the servicing bank of that loan, is going to issue a notice of default. Notice of default, in my opinion, is one of the best ways to get to pre-foreclosures first. A lot of people don't understand them. They don't know what it is. It is the final straw, the final threat from the bank for the borrower to cure the situation. And this is usually going to be the first trigger. If you can pull that in your state, that honestly is going to be the sweet spot. Now, sometimes people will reach out to you before they get a notice of default in your other marketing and wholesaling. That's a great sign, but I want to catch them early. Now, once they do a notice of default, usually a month or two after that, there'll be a Liz pendants filed, or sometimes they're almost filed within 30 days of each other. Remember, the Liz pendants is the formal announcement of a lawsuit against the borrower to rectify and cure the problem of foreclosing on the asset so the loan gets repaid. Honestly, the sweet spot is from the time they miss the first payment up to around 6, maybe the 7th month. It just depends on what state you're in. Catch them early. The reason for this, if you catch them early, they have more options and you can avoid the denial zone and you can help cure the procrastination. Procrastination is going to run rampant in pre-foreclosures. Remember, your job is to help the seller get out of their own way. You have to guide them. How do you guide them? Number 1, you listen. Number 2, you offer solutions to help solve their problems. You already know they have a pending foreclosure issue. We don't need to throw it in their face. So what I want to do is this next step, after you look at the sweet spot and understand it, after month like 5 and 6, they go into what we call the denial phase. Like, hey, I'm not making payments. I'm living rent free. This is great. Remember, this is the eye before the storm. Either the smart person prepares for it or they just ignore it, because if you block out of your mind, it's not going to happen. And we know how that's going to end. The problem is the person in denial that's going to procrastinate, they're going to wait till the very end. And when they get a notice of sale and they get a final judgment on them, then they're going to call you back. And guess what? If you're a new wholesaler, it is challenging to try to stop an auction date and get everything done. A lot of times it does require a lawyer, and most of you do not have the skill sets or the financial means to hire the lawyer to do this. That's why it is best to catch people early in pre-foreclosure. Number one, you give them options, you give them their dignity, and they have options when they want to move out of the house. They have time. And most importantly, hopefully there's a little bit of money left for them. But if you wait till the very end, between the late fees, the accrued interest, the missed payments, and the lawyer fees, this is where there's little to no money left. And that's why a lot of times at the very end, they're a waste of time. So find out what your pre-foreclosure and their equity position and what the time frame is before you go out and market to them, because you don't want to market to a property where there is no chance of doing a wholesale deal. It's literally a waste of your time. So let's talk about the final part, which is going to be the conversation of somebody in a pre-foreclosure situation. Guys, this is easy. Don't try to be a slick salesperson. It's not going to work. You have to be authentic and you have to come from a helping hand. I want to help out anyone who's at risk of losing their home, regardless of the outcome. That's my mentality, and that's how I go into every deal. If I have to bring in a realtor, if I have to consult them to a lawyer, I'm going to look at all options possible. And that's how you truly help people out, because I believe in karma. Sometimes I help people out. I haven't bought their house, but I've saved them a painful experience. And honestly, if you go in with that attitude, this part is easy. So let's talk about the actual conversation with the seller. Number one, you have to listen to them. Stop trying to overtalk to them. You already know what the issue is. So all you have to do is underwrite the house, but more importantly, listen to your seller's issue. Listen to their pain. They're going to tell you why they're in the pre-foreclosure situation. A lot of times they're going to vent on the bank, because the banks are nasty with their letters and their phone calls and their threatening of the court documents, and they're scared. And if you've ever been in this type of situation, it is not fun. So listen to their story, listen to whatever drama that comes with it, because sometimes it's a loss of job, it's a loss of a loved one. Nobody chooses to be in this situation. So I am always on the seller's side. I want to help them out. That's what we do. We fix problems. So the best way you can do is listen. Sometimes I've had people go on for hours. This is why you want to pre-vet your leads to make sure there's some type of equity in it before you go through this process, because I don't want to sit 2 hours with someone if there's absolutely no solution to it, but other than give it back to the bank. So we want to find people with equity. We want to use our ears, and we want to listen to the problem. We already know what the issue is. They're going to tell you their story, how they got there, and they're usually going to blame the bank. They're going to blame their job, or they're going to blame the economy. Your job is to listen to their pain and formalize a solution to fix it. Now, once you've listened to it, step number two is explain the options to them. So number one, I always let them know the sooner you work with me, the more options you have. What do you mean by that? You might be able to walk away with some money. You can move out under your timeline. You get your dignity. You avoid a foreclosure on your record, which is going to affect your credit up to 10 years, and it can severely affect your ability to apply for another mortgage or even rent. Because once people see there's a foreclosure on the record, nobody wants to rent to people in foreclosure because they're scared they're not going to get payment. Once again, we want to navigate towards the future. We want to listen to the pain of the past and offer a solution. Now, the solution is going to reveal itself through the seller's story, and your job is to take that information, and they'll say, listen, what I want to do is I want to wrap this up in the next 60 or 90 days. I want to be able to pack and just make this less severe on my children. If they have children, you really have to listen, and you need to figure out where they want to go. And your job is to say, listen, if we can get your house sold, stop the foreclosure, and give you the dignity to move on your own under your terms and get you a fresh start, is that something you want to work with me? That's simple, guys. Offer solutions. The only way you can offer solutions to people in pre-foreclosure is you have to listen to them. Stop trying to come in with your pre-baked conceptions on how you're going to fix it. You have to listen to the story, you have to underwrite the house, and you have to form a solution. And don't panic if you cannot figure it out on the spot. Reach out to me, reach out to Zach, reach out to our entire community, and we will help forge the solution for you. The more you do this, the more experience you'll get, and the easier this process becomes. My goal of the entire conversation with them is to get them to take action earlier as opposed to procrastinating till the end, because honestly, my job is to help the seller get out of their own way. If they wait till the very in. It's very painful. There's a lot of tears. There's a lot of embarrassment. There's strange people walking around the house. And if they have a family, especially children, your job is to help that seller avoid the worst case scenario, which is a foreclosure, which is devastating in all aspects, from financially, physically, and mentally. Our job as wholesalers is to solve problems and help people out. If you want to come along and join us and help people in pre-foreclosure, go over to freewholesaling.com. We show you how to get started. Guys, if you truly want to help people out, I mean, you have to listen to them. And if you know the right people to work with in pre-foreclosure, this can be an extremely profitable experience for you. Remember, the more people you help out, the more problems you solve, the bigger the problems you solve, the more money you'll make, and the more rewarded you'll feel in this journey called wholesaling. So guys, I hope you got value from this video. If you did, do me a favor, share this video with a friend. Make sure you click a link so you get more videos like this, like the subscribe button. And if you enjoyed it, just give me a little bit of love in the comments. Maybe give me a like. I really appreciate you guys. I never take my viewers for granted. I always look at wholesaling like the day I started, and that was almost 22 years ago, and I will never forget it. I serve you, the wholesalers, to give you the truth, the best information without a paywall, so you can go out and do deals. If you want to do that, join our community. We'd love to have you here. I really appreciate your time. This is Rick, and I'll see you in the next video.